Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition on our segment Hard Hats and Hard Truth. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
I'm good. Michael's in the driver's seat doing a little plan of his own. So we're just going to let him move. Go, bro.
Go, bro. Just drop it in. So last week we talked about trust and building that up, which is kind of one of those things that I wanted to touch on because we talk a lot about trades, especially young people, men, women, that type of stuff. So kind of touching on the lies that we tell young workers coming in. So along those lines, like that because nobody wants to start at the bottom. Everybody wants the raises right away. Why the good contractors are leaving the industry. That success isn't easy. It's not. There's a lot of work that goes behind it, and then the paycheck. Everybody wants the paycheck, but nobody wants to follow the path. And how trade sabotage, and then nobody wants to talk about it
So, disclaimer that is not everybody, but it seems to be a trend.
for the paychecks. Everybody wants paychecks, but not the path.
Well, you can't group everybody. Like, I would love to. What I'm saying is that what you're basing this off of, because
Yep.
I'm not going to sit here and deny it from an HR standpoint and someone who's still in the trade aspect, it is a trend.
Yep.
This is something that I'm seeing more of, but I can't sit here and take a blanket statement and say that it's everybody. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying disclaimer. We're
Oh
not
yeah, yeah.
saying
Okay, yeah.
if
Of
you
course.
don't do this or you don't see this, that's fine.
Yeah. Always and never don't exist. I
It's
agree.
not every guy. I choose
Yeah.
the bear.
Yeah. So I mean, like the things that kind of I think about is like starting wages. I mean, we're going kind of into a construction boom, which may or may not stick with water usage, with data centers and AI and stuff like that. So who knows? Maybe construction is going to blow up. Maybe it's going to collapse. I don't know.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Like when you're bringing people in and we're going to need all these workers, right? Is it going to be a massive hiring thing where people are like, okay, we're going to push the wages down, or wages going to go up? And what type of expectations should people be looking at?
Depends what sector you're in trades, Michael, really, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Are you a new build? Are you in renovation? Are you in restoration? What are you doing? Are you siding? Are you concrete? Are you welding? Are you plumbing? Do you know what I mean? Like it all depends on what you're doing. There are some trades that seem to be a little bit more recession proof, I will say.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there are some trades that are not. And then there are people who come in fly by night. So I'm going to tell you, I had an interesting thing come across my desk. And this is an ongoing problem inside of the trades, which will correlate with trust and will correlate with also how the wages are looking inside. Okay. So here's my little story. So I have a condo manager that came up and talked to me about a site that she's got. And she has a site that is doing a full restoration aspect in regards to siding because of hail. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, the contractor that was awarded was strong armed to come in by the board of directors, which it's their right to choose who's coming in. However, this person is known in industry. So the excuse me, the chair the chair of the board works in industry. And so they strong armed this contractor to come in, going against the better judgment of insurance and the condo manager. And this person came in and grossly underbid everybody to the
Right.
point where contractors that have been around a long time, that have an extensive background in insurance restoration and have built their name up, um, have work couldn't they couldn't come down. Because what happens is some people will kind of bid low and you're like, hey, can you hit this? And then the person's like, instead of making 20%, I'll make 10 points, make them happy. They couldn't. They went as low as they could, and they were asking them to come down over $100,000, which there's no way they could have done it.
Right.
So then I went and I looked into this trade, and this trade that's now inside of our renovation restoration space is a new build trade. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't come in at these numbers that you would come in for new build and think that you're going to change order these people to death. And if you don't change order them, you've just fucked up what the expectation of costs are for the guys who actually do the restoration and renovation work. Because the work is not as so simple as new build. And people will say, well, it's not simple. To me, it is. You're slapping up a structure, you're ensuring you're ensuring that all the measurements are done correctly. Everything is new. There is no rot. There is no chasing leaks. There is no anything that could go wrong is going wrong at the same capacity of when you are pulling something apart to see like someone's like, "Oh, I want to do siding." And you pull off half the siding and you've got wood rot and you've also got an active leak somewhere and now you've got to go chase it. Now you've got to stop everything and you have to fucking find the source of that leak. You have to stop the leak and then you have to see how much fucking damage it's done, not just from where you've spotted it, but everything underneath. So for me, when I hear these types of things, it stresses me out because then it's creating a lack of trust inside of the industry. I don't trust contractors. That's why I go after the ones that I know and I'll pull corporate docs on you. I'll do corporate searches. I'll go look at your sites. I'll find everything out about you and I will ask for all of your insurances because I want to also, and I'll also go look inside of your WCB records because I can. So it's about understanding what you're getting yourselves into. And that's where people are like, why would I hire an advocate? Why is Lisa good? It's because I do all this grunt work to make sure that this contractor doesn't fuck you over, that they're not a fly by night or that they're going to change order you to death. So they're coming in at 100,000, but all of a sudden it's 400,000 when you had two contractors that were coming in at 350 and 380. But now this guy's got you over 4. So this is where boards need to pay attention. And I think that there needs to be more engagement for the people that are around to understand that inside of construction, it is very dog eat dog. But where my trust issues come in for these types of things is that everybody's wages are impacted when contractors like this steal. They predatory price, and then everybody on the back end that is not new build, they're inside the renovation space, is now going to take a pay cut somehow because their bosses are losing jobs to these guys who are coming in substantially lower. So how are you going to carry your overhead if this guy is stealing all these jobs but actually making more than what you bid it at? It's so to me, that's both. That's a trust issue and then there's a problem. So new build is going to be lower. I already heard that. The trades have already inside of new build say it's not what it was. It's not as lucrative. The builders browbeat them a lot for cost. Renovation space, not too bad, depending on where you are in your level of employment and knowledge. I will say that I have found there's more companies now that are more of an equal opportunity employer. It's what you know, not who you know. Who you know is kind of like in the renovation space gets you through the door. Hang on, hold that thought. My kid's calling me from school. I know, it's life, right? Hang on, hang on.
So we might edit out this little bit of a blank space here.
And we're back to our regular program.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. My kid was calling me from the school. I have to take that call.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I'll edit the dead space. It's no problem.
right? I'm sorry.
No,
But
no, life.
yeah, it is life. And so I had filled out they had a I don't know what's going on with the school here. They send out these forms and I sent in Tyler's form like a month ago to go like near the last day of school to go to his activity out here in Airdrie with the rest of his class. And I filled everything out and I said no to Jocelyn and yes to Ty because Joss was staying home. And they kept sending me emails and I kept saying I kept filling them out and saying, I've already filled these out. And then he gets to school and he's like, oh, by the way, mom, he's like, you didn't fill this out. I'm like, the fuck I didn't.
Yeah.
So he's like,
So
I'm not on any forms. I said, that's fine. I said, come home and I'll drive you there. No problem.
I do want to circle back to your pricing that you're talking about between new build and renovation.
Yeah.
And perhaps my ignorance, because I would price like the new build person, but I would put the caveat in, this is priced on best case scenario. Because what I'm seeing is renovators are going in and they're pricing it as worst case scenario. But if it turns out to be the best, are they offering up a refund on the fact that, oh, it turned out to be the absolute best? They took the siding off, no damage. Everything was perfect. They ripped off the drywall. Everything was flawless. Are they giving money back? Or are they pocketing it? And that's why in the trades, you're getting a little bit more on the renovation side than you are on the new build side, because new build just goes best case scenario.
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. So I'm going to say it's a bit of a double-edged sword on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, on the renovation restoration side, it is very rare that there is zero problems when you are coming in to redo siding, roofing, and otherwise. Okay.
Sure.
Very slim on the exteriors. um, you're always going to find something. Now, what happens is when you hire these people, they are all educated on a different level of building. Okay. So the minute they come into rot, the minute they come into, they still have to cease work. But now they've got the inside of their team, they have somebody who can chase that leak.
Mhm.
New build, you don't. Normally, you don't have someone who can chase that leak. Number one. Number two, they notify the board immediately. Number three, they call out an engineer immediately. It's structured, right? Structural integrity. Engineers have to be called out. In new build, they don't do any of that. So they don't understand the process, which I don't know if they do, because I don't normally I don't allow new build construction to mix into renovation when I'm on top of the project. I'm like, "No, we're not doing that. We're not gonna experiment." Like, your new build, you've excelled in new build, that's great, but a large project, there's no way I'm gonna say, "Oh, yes, let's bring in the guy that's the cheapest, that's only done new build." I'm not doing that. I'm going after the guys and gals that have been doing this for 10 plus years, that understand restoration, that have people on their team that have done nothing but exterior. They understand the renovation space much better. They're more proficient. So, on one hand, are they notifying the board that they found something? Because right now, in my scenario, they haven't. They haven't notified the board. The board actually was the one who found it and then came and told their condo manager. Condo manager is like, "Okay, well, we need to bring in an engineer. We need to do this." The chair, who is in industry as well, is saying, "No, no, no, we can do this for like next to nothing." I'm like, "No, you can't. That's a 12, you're up 12 feet for a patio, for a balcony, and you've got excessive rot on the back side of the sheeting. There's no fucking way this is going to be cheap." And not only that, but now it's also it's infiltrated into the decking itself, which means now the deck has to be redone because it was built 30 years ago. So now we're looking at different problems. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this condo manager. She's throwing all these pictures at me. And I'm like, "You need an engineer. You need 3 bids for this one. This person's just doing the siding. Stay with what you got." But then it brings up other red flags for me. Has there been other issues where they've just covered it over?
Maybe.
That's my biggest concern right now, is that I'm in the renovation space. They know. Now, I'm not saying they all do it, but the majority of them understand that the insurance that they have pushes them to notify when there's a problem and that they need to bring in engineering. Because God forbid something falls apart inside the renovation space that they didn't address accordingly or have a structural engineer, a building science engineer come out and take a look at, and that falls apart, massive lawsuit. Massive, massive lawsuit, especially when they're going to go in and find, "Well, this was obviously rotted and you would have seen it." "Oh, I didn't see it." "Well, you would have seen it." Do you see what I'm
But
saying? So
yeah, but that's
they're opening up
that's
to
all on the
liability. Sorry.
communication side. That doesn't necessarily address the pricing side. Right? So again, if it's priced lower with the caveats of I'm pricing this for an ideal scenario, should these scenarios rise up, these are my estimations on what the extras could be. Rather than
Okay,
just
but
automatically including like, oh my God, well, it's probably this, it's probably that. Well, that's it could be, right? Again, always and never don't exist.
okay, so good point. So let's look at that. New build guys are used to just slap it up, like next one, slap it up, next one, slap it up, next one. They're now stunted, which happens in new build too. Sometimes you get bottlenecked, but
Yeah.
now they're stunted and they have to wait for engineering. They have to wait for restoration. They have to be able to do the job properly and they have to be able to put it back together. That slows their stuff down and they're so used to having multiple projects. So they don't estimate for scheduling, which then turns into a money problem because now they're going to expand and they're going to overlap on another project and then they're going to get pissed off, like the people on the other side are going to get pissed off, or they're going to leave us behind and they're going to go start on that other project and then they're not going to come back for a certain duration. Do I say that happens inside the renovation space? Sometimes, but the majority of these guys have been trained to always give themselves cushions because they know problems will arise somewhere on the site. And if they don't, hey, awesome. We're done before we thought we would be. Here we go on to the next, right? And then they can start all their stuff a little bit sooner. Clients love when you can start things a little bit sooner. It's very rare that you're like, "Oh, we're coming in a week early," and they're like, "No." That's very rare. So
Right.
for me, that's exactly what happens is when you're inside the new build space, you then turn around and you don't when you start getting choked up, you start getting pissed off and you fuck off site and you go do other things because you've made all of these commitments, not understanding that you need to come back and close all this up within a certain time frame. Otherwise, everybody on site is pissed off. So that fucks with the money because now they're like, because in their brain, they're like, I'm not going to get screwed over in money. I'm gone until this can get resolved. And then when I can fit you back in my schedule, which is a big fat no-no, when I can fit you back in my schedule, I will let you know. Boards do not take kindly to that. Nobody does. Could you imagine finding a problem
Don't
in
you
your
have
resident?
established communication timelines?
What's that?
Don't you have established communication timelines?
You're supposed to, but if I'm not on that project, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, but these are easy things to overcome. But it doesn't. I hate to belabor the point, but that doesn't address the pricing issue because still the assumption is the renovator who's been in the industry for 10 years and the new construction who's coming in and going, we price for good conditions. We
Mhm.
don't price for worst case scenario. If you price for worst case scenario and it's not that, I think that, in my opinion, I think that's taking advantage of the customer.
So I disagree. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times in new builds, you can get the bulk because when you're in new builds, you get preferred pricing, right? So when you deal with you deal with a supplier and you're constantly
Yeah,
buy, and you have large quantities, you can get those quantities cheaper and faster sometimes because you're inside the new build sector. So when you're
sure.
moving over to renovation, they might be able to get it a little bit cheaper and a little bit faster. But at the end of the day, I don't know why they're bidding. They're not taking into the consideration all of the other things that need to be taken under consideration. Because here's the thing. Yes, if we get a bid for $50,000 to do something and they come in and they're like, "Oh, well, we didn't need to use the contingency, so that's off." And like, but that's one of the reasons why I'm there because if I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the bill, I'm saying I'll say to them, "Okay, guys, well, we didn't use the contingency, so pull that off." But that's where someone like me comes in to make sure that they stay in their lane too, right? Because people are people. A lot of times these project managers have like 50 fucking ongoing projects and they're just like, okay, it's done, fire it off. And then I got to go back and say, no, which is why you always need to be looking at your stuff. Now, there are some of them that know right away and they say, we didn't use the contingency, we didn't use this, we didn't do that. Bill them for this. We're good. We're in, we're out, done. There's more contractors emerging that are honest,
Mhm.
which is terrifying because I'm like, why are you so honest? Like,
Right.
usually I have to dig a lot fucking harder for this. But there are more that are emerging that are coming forward and saying, I bid you 50,000. We did $39,000 worth of work. Here's $39,000 the bill. Thank you very much. And so then I went and sat some of them down and asked them about it. And I said, I really appreciate that you did that I didn't have to chase you for it. Thank
Right.
you. That makes that shows an element of trust that I will continue to provide you opportunities to tender on most of my projects because of that transaction. And they said to me, that's what we want. We want to come back. So we don't want to nickel and dime people or overbid something or come in and give you an estimate because that's what it is, Lisa. It's an estimate. We
Yep.
are gauging based off of what we understand could be a problem. If that problem doesn't exist, we remove it
Oh,
because that's what's
again,
fair to the
that
client.
answers the question. So renovators are giving back the discount when they're like, okay, that wasn't done, that wasn't required, that wasn't
Not
this.
all of them, Michael, but some do, yes.
Well, I guess that's all in how the contract's written, right? Like,
Mhm. Which is why, like, today I'm writing a contract, right? So and my contracts are very elaborate.
so if you're a new construct, like a new con builder, right? But
Yep.
renovations are becoming more and more of the construction sector, right? Because land is more expensive, everything else is more expensive. And if you're building condos, I mean, I guess you're just going to get government bailouts to buy them, but that's a whole nother conversation. So renovations are becoming more and more. If you're a new construction company, how do you get into renovation without being looked at as going, oh, well, we're not going to use you because you're from new build?
Honestly,
Yeah.
make sure some of your guys are certified in restoration and building.
And if you can't find those people, you just can't go in that market. It's
You
that
can
pigeon
find those
toed.
people. Those people are everywhere. Put your people through a course.
Mm,
It's a 2-day
yeah.
fucking course. Put your invest in your people, which shows us that you have if when you invest in your people, it shows the client that you want to provide optimal service because you're investing internally.
Is that done
So
through training programs or is that done through an apprenticeship style?
depends. So if you're going into a restoration, so if you're going to do like a lot of people for the restoration world will go through, which is the American side, which is the IICRC. You can do fire flood, you can do water tech, you can do mold, you can do all kinds. Right. So there's the AMRT, which is for mold, right? It's antimicrobial technician. And then you've got the water restoration technician. You've got applying what is it? Applied drying. There's so many different things that you can look at when you're dealing with building. Now, if you're like I said, like you said, if you're new build wanting to go into restoration, then that's when I would definitely have somebody with a water background
Mhm.
because water is the one of the biggest culprits,
Right.
right? And those guys aren't hard to find because there's a lot of construction companies and a lot of the and renovation. So there's restoration companies that have a construction side and a rebuild side, and then vice versa. There's construction companies that have guys on hand that have their remediation tickets. So that's not a stretch. Do you know what I mean? It's not something that can't be done because there's so many companies out there like that. So that's where
But
when you're like,
does
what if they can't find them?
passing it
I'd be pretty fucking hard pressed if they can't find them. They're fucking everywhere. They're running around. So,
but does
but then
passing a
again,
test necessarily equate to skills? Like, I've known people, they've had licenses, they've had this, they've had that, and they have no ability. None.
mhm.
I mean, congratulations, you can go and pass the test, but you actually put that out in the workplace and you're like, "Yeah." So, yeah, maybe you can find them, but can you find the good, right ones?
True, true. Now, if you want my honest opinion, how you get in from new build into the renovation space, come in under a GC that knows, that understands, and pay attention. If
Right.
you're a new build, because new build already comes in under large GCs. What do you think a fucking builder is? They're already coming in under large GCs. So go under another GC inside of the condominium or inside of the renovation space and talk to them. I would like to eventually branch out. I don't mind having or have a partnership with them. And then you're going to learn everything because now a lot of things, now you're still answering to someone because I think in the new build space, a lot of those guys still need a layer where they can be like, hey, there's a problem. Because a lot of times they're good at what they do. They're good at, like you said, they're just out there doing this, and that. Fine. Now, am I going to sit here and say that they'll probably give a good price to the GC? Probably. Will the GC mark it up? Absolutely, because they
Mhm.
all do. My job is to make sure that they don't overmark them up. So it's
Right.
basically saying take all of your line items and put 15 or 20 points on it inside of a space. Now, if it's an insurance, they can only put 5. Let me tell you how those boys hide costs. Let me tell you. A lot of costs being hidden.
So then the question is why is remediation and I'd like, so say you're going to get your carpenter's license.
Yep.
Why isn't mold for wood covered inside of getting your license? Why isn't water damage covered in getting your carpentry license? Like if you're dealing with wood, shouldn't you know everything with wood?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what's all entailed inside of the course for carpentry.
Mm,
I've never done it. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is aspects inside of there because
no,
they're talking about when you're a
when I went,
carpenter, they're going to
no.
talk about wood fibers. I don't know. I've never taken the carpentry course, so I can't comment on it. I
Yeah.
would be hard pressed to think that they don't talk about the building materials and how they operate based off of whether they see moisture or fire or whatnot, different things that come into contact with them. Because a lot of guys that are carpenters can pull something apart, look at the wood and be like, well, this is a problem. And I could be like, oh, is that mold? And they're like, no, it's dry rot. Or, I could be like, oh, is that dry rot? And they're like, no, this was bad wood to begin with. It got something. They just know the materials better. I'm not saying I don't know it. I'm just saying someone who's asking the question. I know what dry rot looks like, all of those things. I've been in the trenches a long time to know what all those things look like on different building material. Now, but those guys know right away how those fibers have broken down, those wood fibers have broken down quickly. They're pretty quick on that. So I would be hard pressed to say they don't. Restoration is a beast of its own. It's understanding how to mitigate water quickly, chasing leaks, shutting everything down, and ensuring that you're doing cleanup and restoration efforts quickly to mitigate the issue before it gets exacerbated. So that's a different beast on its own. They have more education on that side of making sure that everything's cleaned up as quickly as possible before it can cause further damage. So it's gone down 2 floors where we wanna make sure it doesn't go down to 3.
But again, why is that not something that's just integrated into it? Right. So why not just put that as part of the apprenticeship program?
I don't know. Why is the sky blue?
That's refraction of light. I mean, we gotta everything. See, it all has an explanation. But I mean, like, instead of being 5 years, make it 6, right? Because if I can get my renovation license in a course, right? Say
Yeah.
in order, so you pass your carpentry license and you
Yeah.
got the red seal validation, but in order to
Mhm.
like to close off your red seal to say yes, it's red seal, you
Yeah.
have to do this additional course.
No, I
Right? Like,
I
why
I
not?
don't
Why not?
disagree. I don't disagree with you, Michael, and it's not that I'm shitting on new build. I'm kind of one of those people where it's like, I'm not proficient. I'm proficient in building, but I want nothing to do with rental, so I stay in my condo lane.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, "Oh, Lisa, how come you don't come out to all the rental association events and golf tournaments?" I'm like, "Because I don't do rental. I don't want to be in the rental space. I want to stay in the condo space." And that's where, so it's kind of like I stay in my lane. I don't want to be in all these different lanes trying to navigate different things, because in rental there's different things that I have to consider from a paperwork perspective that I don't have to with condo, because I've learned all of the legislation and understand all of the other things. Whereas now there's 3 people that I'm dealing with inside of rental, right?
Right.
I've got their broker, I've got their property manager, and then I've got the owner. So if the broker has given the property manager, this is our number, this is all we can do, and I'm saying, well, I can't do it for that, so you're gonna have to find someone else. And then the owner, and then they're coming back and saying, oh, well, the owner doesn't want to pay this or doesn't want to pay that, but we're approved for this, so we have to go out, which is similar to condo, but then in rental. I'm scared to pull teeth with owners because a lot of times they'll say do the work and then they're like, well, I'm not paying you. And I'm like,
Right.
oh. So I rather live in the condo commercial space than live in the rental space. Some people will say that that is commercial, but I disagree. It's owned by a second property, whether you have one owner or a company that owns it. It's just one unit that's being owned, or 2 units or 3 units. It's not a whole
Mhm.
building. So it's kind of like it's a shitty thing to say, but it's my opinion. And my opinion is that if you're in new build and you excel at new build, stay in your fucking lane. If you want to get into a renovation lane, then go under a GC that does all of that and get them to help you fucking learn it. Because a lot of those guys will. They'll partner up with you. And if you branch out, a lot of them are, there's so much fucking work, Michael, that there's so many guys that are just all about training. They're like, yeah, absolutely. What do you want to know? You got to do this, you got to do that. So while they're working under them, they're seeing the ropes of how they deal with everything. They're seeing the other thing that people need to understand is that when there's a restoration aspect, it is a beast of its own, because if you're dealing with any type of insurance matter, you're lucky if you're paid in 120 days. That's
Right.
luck, because
Right.
you have to carry massive overhead for extended periods of time. It's awful. So
Well, I mean, there's financial runarounds you could do for that. You can sell contracts, you can use funding, financing, all that type of stuff. There's ways to get the money up front that you don't have to worry about it, and you can secure your contract.
a lot of these boys do. A lot of these boys
Yeah.
do really well. Men and women inside of restoration do really well, but it doesn't negate the fact that it is a beast of its own, and that they have put themselves in a position to remain inside of industry because of who they are and what they presented from their work aspect, right? So the way, like, that's how I look at it. Like, there's so many restoration companies, but there are very few that are incredibly successful. And then there are some that people don't realize. There are some companies, restoration companies, that are incredibly intelligent and really good, and they fall under contractors, right?
Yep.
So they fall under GCs. They'll come in under any GC. So they're making their money and they're very successful, but they're not trying to run out and get contracts. They're gaining contracts through GCs and other restoration companies to come help them when there's large losses, which is great. It's a great way to do it. And they're all very intelligent. And one of them is like, inside this company that I'm particularly thinking about, the owner is a master water technician. Super smart guy.
Right. So that's on the company side. But when we
Yep.
look at it, because I mean, employees at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones who are carrying the licenses. They're going to be doing the training, right? They're the ones who have to be in the knowledge space. So, is it that the for the young workers, are they failing the workforce because they're just coming in and they have no idea where to start apprenticeship, where to get training, or is the workforce and the employers failing the workers by not saying get this, get this, get this?
I'm not in everybody's company.
No, I
So
know. I'm
it's a
just trying.
hard
You
it's a
see it,
hard question to personally answer specifically,
yeah.
because most owners know, and they'll encourage education inside. What happens is owners get gun shy because they don't want to put the capital out for these people and invest in them for them just to fuck off. So then there's a lot of like, you've got two different things, right? You've got waivers that are like, hey, you're going to go into training. I'm going to pay $1,000 for your training. It's over 2 days, it's over 4 days, whatever the case may be. But you've got to be with me for 1 year in order for this to clear off. Otherwise, if you decide we're going to part ways for any reason whatsoever, then this is paid back to me, which is fair because I've even written those waivers for under HR, right? For training. But there's also the aspect that a lot of people, do you remember how we talked about it's like, now, now, now.
Oh
I
yeah.
want everything now. You have a phone. You should talk to me now. It's the same thing with people and going through the ranks. You and I, Michael, for lack of a better term, we were quite content to shovel shit because that's where we had to start. And then
Yep.
we moved up and then we learned. We got to watch everybody. So that's one thing that a lot of people are missing is the watching, understanding what's happening, actually paying attention and listening. Too many people now, especially young people, are listening to answer, not listening to hear. So in their brain, they're like, well, I want to know why Joe, who's been here for 10 years, is making $15,000 more than me. Uh,
Who cares?
well, you said it in your sentence,
Mm.
right? He's been here a lot longer than you, or she's been here longer than you, or why is she making this and I'm making that? And we came in at the same time. Okay, well, she's got 15 years of experience. You have one.
I would just be like, this person makes me more money. If they make me more money, I give them more money.
Oh, but you got to be careful. You can't say
Why?
that, Michael. No
Why?
employer can say, this person is my cash cow and you're not. So that's why they make more and you don't. You can't say shit like that.
Why?
Under HR, you cannot say shit like that. Number
Why?
one, it's going to cause mental health issues.
Ugh.
Okay. It's going to cause an uproar. And in an HR setting, I would never encourage someone to say that. Listen, this is my moneymaker and you're not. So sit down and shut the fuck up. Like, that's not, no. I would
So
be
if
like,
somebody goes
listen,
to work and constantly loses money, you can't tell them like every time I send you to go somewhere, swapping out a toilet should take an hour and a half and you take
can't
5
compare them
hours
to
to be
another
done.
worker. You can talk to them about their issues, not compare them to someone else. Never
I don't
compare.
know. If somebody asks me a question, answer it directly. But I'm not in HR.
Well, you're not HR and you also run your own company, Michael. So you're going to have zero fucks to give at that point.
True.
If you have an underling, you're going to be very straightforward with them. And unfortunately, in today's society, the forwardness of what we were used to growing up with is no longer. It's a big fucking no because there are so many things that are now in play with how we are now raising our children. And then there's also a generation that's a zero fucks given generation that's like, you're not going to talk to me like that. I'm not going to accept it. And it's being written into legislation that they're right and we're wrong. And I'm not going to necessarily disagree with it. I don't think we should have been talked to the way we were talked to when we were younger by our employers. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, it's also what's given me my grit.
Yep.
I
Yep.
have a thicker skin. I can walk into any situation. I have to have those critical thinking skills. And because I was kind of talked down like dog shit too, where it was like, fucking figure it out. I don't have time to fucking deal with your bullshit. I had to learn critical thinking skills and problem solving. I had
Mhm.
to. That was the survival. 90% of the jobs I went and worked were sink or swim. They chucked you into the fucking lake and said, figure it out.
So then
That's not a thing anymore.
wouldn't one of the best companies to hire would be somebody who doesn't have any employees and everybody's a subcontractor to the company, but they pretty much do 80% of that work with that one company?
What's a GC? Mhm.
Yeah. So if I were in construction, I probably wouldn't have any employees. If I was back in
Mm.
construction, I wouldn't have any employees. Everybody would be a subcontractor. They're their own business. I'd even
Yep.
feed work their way to create that line of separation to accountability. Because if you're saying I can't say to somebody, hey, you're not as good as so and so, that's why you get less, and it becomes offensive.
Mhm.
Well, if they're a subcontractor, okay, perfect. Now I don't have to worry about that type of issue.
Yeah. If they're your employee, not a good thing. If you're the GC
Yeah.
and you have two companies and one is shitting the bed and the other one is excelling in their work performance, yeah, you could probably say something like that because everybody's a contractor. So they could essentially give you the finger and walk off site and you're like, cool, 10 more of you in line, fuck off.
Right.
So as a GC, you have a little bit more um I guess, leniency of what you say to people because they can't really report you to labor standards. They can, but it's not really going to go anywhere because they're not direct employees.
Right.
They are contractors. Now, with that being said, though, if you have a contract inside of a employment, so this is where people need to understand and hear it. If you have if you're like, hey, I took a 1-year contract for this company, you're not your own entity. Okay. If you're just your name, you're not a company. Okay. This is them avoiding taxes, which means
Yep.
you're paying your own taxes, which means, but you are still technically an employee. So they can't talk to you like shit at the same capacity that they could a contractor. If they're hiring another company, it's different. Like me, someone could talk shit to me. They could be like, Lisa, you're a fucking moron. And I'd be like, cool,
All right.
sounds good. So, and I'm not going to be all ass hurt and be like, why would you say that to me? I'm going to go to HR. I'd be like, cool, that's how you feel. Let's part ways.
Right.
But it depends who's saying it to me. If it's another contractor, I'd be like, sounds like a fucking you problem because I don't stand on your side. I stand on their side,
Mm,
you know? So if
true.
the board says that to me, we have a problem. And I'm like, oh, well, I apologize if you'd like to part ways. And that's the other thing. I don't lynch people in the parting of ways aspects. I
No.
fucking hate when people do that, where they hold you, they hold you by your neck against a wall and say, well, if we're parting ways, you're going to pay X, 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 X. If I've done all I can do and now it's turning into a conflict and it's a conflict I can't resolve because of the personalities and the board is upset and they're like, hey, Lisa, we have to let you go, blah, 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 or I don't know what to do here. I will gracefully bow out a lot of times because I'm not here to make their lives harder. I'm here to make their lives easier. So that's the other thing I do see a lot is that men are very emotional on site. And when they talk to each other a certain way and they get angry, it can turn violent very quickly. So with me, it's kind of like, okay, I'm hearing you. Let's take a day. And if you want to part ways, we can do that. I've never, ever seen a calm man ever say something like that. 9 times out of 10, there is like 700 F bombs coming out of his mouth. And he is like there. And I call it peacocking,
Okay.
puff up the chest. They
Well,
peacock and take a run at each
little
other.
caveat. You did say never, ever,
Never, ever what?
never, ever. Have you seen never, ever, never, ever? You never somebody get fired or something like, all right, see,
Never seen someone what?
like somebody get fired. You said, I never have ever seen a man. And you're like, never, ever, never, ever. Remember, never
Like,
and always don't exist.
like never, sorry. My comment was never, ever seen a man what? Continue that.
Well, this is your story, right? Like that they would always peacock. They do this. It's F bombs.
Most of them
Slang
do. There's
violence.
always at least one. There's one that's calm and one that's not.
Right.
So that's me saying never ever is in my experience, my experiences is accurate. Where always one will peacock, F bombs are thrown, and it gets to a point where there's a good chance that physical violence is going to be the answer. But it is 100% psychological, emotional, and mental warfare coming from one or both. I have never seen it where two men can sit down in an altercation and speak calmly to each other on
Oh.
site. I'm talking about in trades on site. In an
Yeah,
office,
but
in an
is
office, I
that the
can.
renovation sector? Because then I kind of want to lean to new build, right? Like that's the
No,
renovation
I've seen
sector.
it in all. I've seen it in all of them. I'm
Yeah,
talking trades across the board. I've seen roofers go after siders, go after window guys, go after
yeah.
plumbers, go after, restoration. I've seen it all. Now, I will say plumbers are the calmer ones out of I haven't seen too many plumbers that are going to take a run at you. They're usually like, I'll just throw shit at you.
I don't know. I
But
said
I
a
haven't
cross
seen too
between
many
everybody.
plumbers fucking try to take a run at people. Um, uh, I've seen some pretty, some pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I've seen some pretty rowdy electricians from time to time. They can get pretty rowdy electricians. Yeah. But on site, when we're dealing with trades and there's two men that disagree, and it's usually managers that are disagreeing, and they're from two different companies, sometimes the same company, it gets wild. Like what I'm saying is that there's still an element of abuse. So yes, never ever have I ever seen two men on a site come together and speak to each other during an altercation, as in, we're not happy, we're angry about something, be calm and say, this is a problem. We need to fix it. One will come that way. The other one is coming out of the gate charging. It's like they've seen red and they're a bull. And it's always one or the other or both. But I've never, inside an office, I've seen two men fight very sophisticated, very sophisticated. And
I
that
guess
for
I
me
got a
is more
very
fun.
different experience. I mean, I've seen it, but typically,
Yeah.
most of the time, it's resolved
You
pretty
have to
soft.
remember you're in Ontario, I'm in Alberta. Alberta is like, "Fuck around and find out, let's go."
I did construction in Alberta. I did construction in BC. I did construction in Ontario, Saskatchewan,
Well,
Manitoba, all
you're well
across the
liked,
board,
Michael. You're gonna
right?
tell me that you never got into an altercation with somebody on site?
I'm not saying I never. I'm not saying always that there's one person of the two. No, no. In fact, I'd say the majority of the time it sorts out pretty easy. Somebody goes, "What the fuck?" And the other person goes, "What the fuck?" And they both go, "Okay," and they move on. And that's it.
But that's
If that's
different.
uppity, is just saying, "What the fuck?" Like somebody
No,
comes
no,
in with a
no.
problem, the
No,
other
no, no.
person has no idea it's
I'm talking
coming.
about an altercation, okay? I
This
am
is an
talking
altercation.
about
Yeah,
you fucked up my side, so
yeah,
now I can't fucking do this, and
same.
now I'm fucking put behind, and now
Yeah,
you're pissing me off, or I didn't like the way you talked to my fucking guy the other
yeah,
day. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
yeah.
the machismo that comes to site where it's like, I'm gonna dominate you whether you like it or not, and there's always one in the group.
I think the
Always
point of
one.
view of how you see machismo and how I see machismo are different,
Yeah?
right? Because you see it as aggressive, I see it as normal, right? You see it as being somebody getting pissed off, and I go, person's just putting their foot down there. They came at them, even in a nice way. They came at them. The person went, hang on, let's establish the balance point.
So machismo for me has two different aspects. Machismo can be, um, if I'm being honest, as a female, there's aspects of machismo that are sexy, and then there are aspects of machismo that are very aggressive.
Yeah,
And when I talk about machismo on site, I'm talking about like a pissing contest with men.
sure.
And I have walked through a few times on a site and told guys, and I mean, like, this is, we're gonna skirt around HR on this one, but I have blatantly told guys to put their dicks away because they're out there fucking screaming at each other. And I'm like, put your dicks away. Like, this isn't a fucking contest.
Huh?
At this point, I run this site. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You have bottlenecked this person. He is right to feel this way. So I'm going to tell you, you know what? I'm going to take you guys for lunch and everyone's going to calm down and you're going to get caught up. And so I will, that's not always what I say, but it's for the most part, that's kind of just separating, right? It's eliminating the problem by making one person happy and redirecting and letting the other person have enough time to get their shit together, but also providing the warning. If you can't get your shit together and these guys are left waiting for you, you're going to catch penalties because it's not fair.
Yeah.
If you've given me a schedule and told me that you can do this, nothing has tripped you up. Not weather, not fucking supply. Nothing has tripped you up. And you are running behind because the only thing I can think of is that you didn't schedule it properly or you lost guys or you're having internal problems. That's not a client problem. That's not the other company's problem. That's a you problem. At which point you come to me and you say, I'm going to be behind, which then I can notify that company and say, they're going to be behind, which means they're going to do other work on another site because I don't know any fucking contractor that doesn't have multiple jobs going on at multiple times.
Always. Yeah.
So then I'm going to give them hey guys, they're a week behind. Don't waste your time coming here. I'll call you when they're done this portion. And will they get mad? Sure they will. They'll do the but then they go off and then it's not an altercation on site. I avoid those. I do everything in my power to avoid those. I don't need grown men. Like, I'm not trying to get in the way of two grown men fucking having a moment. I will only get it if it's verbal, I will 100% get in the way. But the minute I see like they clench their teeth, they clench their jaw and they're like coming at you, I'm like, "Oh yeah, no. Beat the shit out of each other. I'm going to be sitting over here." Cuz I'm not getting in the way of that. I get hit by a guy, I'll be knocked out. Well, thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty rare nowadays, anyways. Back in the old days, okay, that happened more often than not. Then everybody had a beer at lunch, went back to work, and beers after work, right? Like it was all right. It's just par for the
I
course.
will be honest with you, that is an accurate statement. Violence is not as common, but you wanna know what is? Fucking psychological warfare. That is far more common, far more damaging, and the things I see on site with the way that they talk to each other, I'm like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "You guys need to just chill out." I believe that psychological warfare has always been a thing, but it got to a point where it peaked, two people had a fucking fist fight and then it was over. That's
Yep.
not the case anymore. So I will say that violence is not as common, but the psychological warfare is gross,
Yeah, I would rather take the violence. It's done.
right? Like,
Yeah.
take a pop in the mouth and just call it a day?
Right. Now I'm not advocating for violence,
No.
but that's the way it was back then. So it is what it is.
Yeah, but it was an interesting dynamic because men would get so fucking surly and mad at each other.
Mm.
They'd be shit pissed and mad, and then they would fucking duke it out, and then those two assholes are at the bar fucking laughing about it. Busted
Yeah,
lip, fucking black eye, having a beer together, being like, "Fuck, man, that was stupid." And I'm
pulling
like,
out the roof,
"Fuck."
pulling out the roofing nail that somebody shot off the roof at you. Yeah.
We're not getting into that. But I mean, it's a very different time.
Mm.
It's a very different time. You have to almost be, and this is where I'm grateful for how I grew up. You have to be so thick skinned. Like, I've had people say, "Oh, Lisa, someone's talking about you." And I'm like, cool, let them keep talking.
Never.
Or the people be like, "I heard you did this." "Oh, what else did I do?" "Wow, that's a good one."
Oh my God,
"Oh."
that's all they told you? Well, hang on. Check this out.
It's just, I don't care. So I'm like, everyone's going to talk. I'm like, oh my God, I'm popular. I have fans. They're talking about me.
Ah, love your haters. Love your
Well, it's nothing
haters.
good. I'm like, hey, haters got to hate. Haters got
Yeah,
to hate. That's a fan. That's an
yeah,
angry fan. I'm good.
I'll take it. I'll take it. So to wrap, if you were 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, getting into the trades,
Yeah.
what would be your advice, whether it comes to training, it comes to this machismo level? Like, do you have any points of advice of like things that they should look at, things that they should do, prepare for to go into trades? Because I think we're at a point where we're going to start to see a bigger influx into trades because the
Hmm.
money's there, the work is there. AI is replacing a lot of other stuff, but having these skills, these real in your hand skills, right? That can't be taken away.
I would tell them, regardless of gender or sex, go and work for a company where there's multiple aspects. So work for a company where they do electrical or restoration or um, carpentry or welding. Go work for different companies in different or go work for one company that has multiple facets inside their company of trades. And if you don't like those, find the trade you like and then invest your time and money into the skill of obtaining your seal.
Mm,
So that's what I would tell you, because people will run into going, I want to be an electrician, but they have no idea what it
no
is
idea.
to be an electrician. Go work for an electrician. Go work for electricians.
Yep.
Go be their apprentice. Go be their puppy dog for a summer, for a
Yep.
year, and see what they go through. See how much shit they got to haul in, pipe they got to haul in, how their wiring go. Like, it is hard fucking work. I don't care what anyone says, whether you're a welder or a plumber or whatever trade you want to go into, go work for that company and do it as tell them, I know nothing about it. This is what I want to get my certification in. They'll welcome you in and say, sounds good. But that's the first thing. Go figure out what you want to do. And then once you figure it out, pay attention to the culture
Yep.
around you, because you're going to know right away if if it's the trade you want and not the company, then you know. But if it's not the trade but the company, that's when you can sit down and talk to the company and find out what else they might be able to do for you.
Yeah. I had a guy recently that I know. He was working for an HVAC company, and after 2 years, he was
Mhm.
still just doing pickups in the truck.
Yeah.
Like,
But
just
that's the
like
other thing.
some companies will invest in you, other ones will take advantage of you, but don't
100%.
be hesitant to move, leave.
Leave or start speaking up.
Yeah.
Start speaking up. Start letting them know that you know your worth.
Yeah.
Because everyone is, I hate to say it, but people are people, and the ones that are greedy will exploit you.
Of
Oh, he
course.
can do X, Y, this, that, and the other thing. Cool. We're going to have him do all that, but we're not going to increase his pay. So I'm always up my other one's ass about that. I'm like, ask for more money.
Always.
Ask for your compensation does not meet your skill set of what they are asking you to do. And if they have tasks as required and they are focusing on the fact that they have a tasks as required inside of their contract and they are getting you to go outside of typical scope for new build, guess what? That's a compensation aspect. That's where you say, cool, I'll do that for more money, or don't ask. And you are within your right to do that. Yeah,
Yep.
that would be my advice.
Good
But yeah,
advice.
are we done? Are we done? We're like
Good.
50 minutes. We're
We're
like
way
50,
over. We're way
50,
over. I
50.
had way more questions to ask on that, but I'm gonna leave them. We'll circle back to it another day because
I
again,
know.
we're trying to get close to 30 minutes,
Okay.
and we're getting farther.
I know, right? 50 Cent.
Maybe I'll just do like Rogan style 3-hour podcasts, once a month and chop it up.
Right? Maybe we should. Maybe we should.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, everybody, thanks for listening along and going through this with us. If you guys ever have any questions or comments, or you want to throw some input in, throw it inside of our comments in the different areas of social media. So there's always usually TikToks and there is YouTube. Michael does a lot of the YouTube stuff. I love that he does the YouTube stuff. Thank you, Michael.
You're
And
welcome.
then there are other aspects also in LinkedIn. We want to hear your feedback. You can also reach out to me at lisa@lpmenterprises.net. And of course, Michael and I will read all your stuff like we've done before in the past. But as always, don't do anything crazy.